Okay, let's dive right in. Today we're focusing specifically on Ezra chapter 9. Our aim is to really unpack what the text itself says about a core issue, the reaction it caused, and the prayer that follows. Just sticking to the source material here. So the chapter kicks off after some things had already happened, and we find leaders approaching Ezra. They've got some, well, pretty troubling news.
Right. They report that the people of Israel, and they make a point of including priests and Levites here, haven't separated themselves from the peoples around them. Groups like Canaanites, Egyptians, others are mentioned.
And they've apparently picked up what the text calls their detestable practices.
Exactly. And the main issue, the one really highlighted, is intermarriage. Taking daughters from these groups as wives for themselves, for their sons. The text uses this striking phrase, mingling the holy race.
Yeah, and maybe the most startling detail. The text notes the leaders and officials were actually leading this. They were at the forefront of this unfaithfulness, as it's called.
It's quite the accusation laid out there.
It really is. And then you get Ezra's reaction. It's immediate and it's, well, extreme based on the description. He tears his tunic, his cloak, pulls hair from his head and beard, just sits down, utterly appalled, it says, until the evening sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just him in isolation. The text mentions others gathering around him, people who trembled at the words of the God of Israel because of this whole situation.
Right. It shows the gravity. This wasn't a minor thing for them.
Definitely not. It clearly struck a deep chord.
So he stays like this, in this state of distress, until the evening sacrifice. Then Ezra gets up, still obviously distraught, clothes torn.
Yeah, the image is quite vivid.
Falls on his knees, hands spread out to God, and he starts this prayer.
And the prayer itself, as recorded right there in chapter 9, is just steeped in shame, disgrace. He says they're too ashamed and disgraced to even look up.
Powerful language.
Incredibly powerful. He says their sins are piled higher than our heads, their guilt has reached to the heavens. And interestingly, he immediately links this present failure to their past suffering.
How so?
He connects it directly to, being subjected to foreign kings, the sword, captivity, being plundered, humiliated, all attributed to the sins of their ancestors, continuing right up to that very day. It's a heavy sense of corporate guilt.
Wow. Okay, so this deep sense of guilt, but the prayer does shift slightly, doesn't it? It acknowledges some grace.
It does. There's an acknowledgement that God has been gracious, leaving a remnant, a surviving group, giving them a firm place, like a foothold or even a wall of protection in Judah and Jerusalem.
And new life, even while being slaves, as the text puts it.
Exactly. But that moment of acknowledging grace almost immediately turns back to the present crisis. It's like, how, after receiving this grace, could they again disregard the commands?
Commands specifically about.
Specifically, he brings up the commands given through the prophets, warning against this very thing, intermarriage with these peoples, giving daughters to them, taking daughters from them.
And the text gives a reason why. Right. Something about the land.
Yes, the text frames it in terms of the land being polluted by the corruption of its peoples, filled with impurity because of their detestable practices. The stated goal of not mixing, according to the prophets cited here, was so Israel could be strong, inherit the land, and leave it for their children. Avoiding treaties, avoiding these marriages.
So Ezra sees their current situation as a direct result of their evil deeds and our great guilt. It's cause and effect in his prayer.
Very much so. Though, interestingly, even as he confesses this great guilt, there's a line saying God actually punished them less than our sins have deserved. There's still a sense of mercy, even in judgment.
Right. And he ends with this really pointed question, doesn't he? Like, if we break these commands again, intermarry again, won't that just provoke God's anger to the point of, well, total destruction? No remnant left.
Precisely. It's a rhetorical question expressing deep fear and consequence.
Yeah.
He finishes by affirming God is righteous, they are a remnant, but they stand before God completely wrapped in their guilt. Unable to stand, really, because of it.
So, stepping back and looking just at Ezra 9, we see this intense crisis over identity, faithfulness, specifically focused on intermarriage. We see Ezra's dramatic, physical grief, and this prayer filled with corporate shame, linking history, sin, and suffering, yet also acknowledging grace.
It's a complex picture presented in just this one chapter.
It really is, and it leads us, and hopefully you, thinking about something based purely on this text. What does it really signify when guilt is described metaphorically as reaching the heavens? And what stands out most to you about the direct line this chapter draws between the people's actions and their historical or potential suffering?